welcome back to my channel. I'm the City Witch. I'm going to start to do some reviews for you of the tarot and oracle decks that I have in my collection. Now I have quite a large collection, so I'm not going to do this as one bulk video where I show you absolutely everything. I'm going to do them sort of 2 decks at a time, I think, just to give you all an opportunity to see the different decks, to show you each and every card in that deck as well, show you the artwork and talk to you about the creator, the content of the book it comes with, and how I personally use that deck as well. So in this one I'm going to focus on 2 decks I have that are both by Lucy Cavendish. So I'm going to talk to you about the Wild Wisdom Fairy Oracle, which is this one. So this is one of my all-time favourite decks. I don't tend to use this for client work, I tend to use it a lot for personal work, to be honest guys. And that's the back of the box. So I've had this quite a while, as you can see. It's a little bit tatty now, this one. I came across this one when it first came out. I think I was at a spiritual fair in my local town, and I went with a very dear friend of mine, and my birthday was coming up, and I spotted this deck and completely fell in love. But I actually didn't have enough money to buy it at the time, so my friend offered to buy it for me for my birthday and gifted it to me there and then. So this is actually quite a special gift because we're quite closely bonded. I'm a godmother to her children. So this particular deck is really special to me, so therefore I don't use it for client work. It's something that I chose to use in my personal practice. Ways that I've used this deck have included for intention, for focus, for meditation, daily affirmations. I use them to draw a 1-card pull in the morning. So I shuffle the deck, I don't concentrate on anything specific, and I just pull a card, and that's supposed to reflect the energy of the day, and I can contemplate that, and then at the end of the day I look at that card again and I say, how did that card present itself? How did that energy come into my life? What did I notice? What did I feel? What did I experience? What have I learned from that? So that's kind of what I did for a long time, and I do that with every deck actually to get used to the cards. And if I do that with tarot, I tend to do that to learn the card, because even though I'm really good at tarot and I've been doing tarot since I was 7-8 years old, each deck now comes with their own meanings as well as the general tarot meanings, so I tend to have to practice with them these days. So I draw a card each morning, I think, what do I think that card means, and I give my own spin on it, and then in the evening, so not straight away, I will look at what the book tells me it means, and I'll see if I was right, and I'll see what I learned and got from that as well as an experience, and I make notes on it. So I did that for a long time, and that actually helped me grow and develop as a practitioner, as a fortune teller as well, and being able to connect to the energies of the cards. So it sort of strengthened my bond with them, and it enabled me to interact with them on a daily basis as well, which, when you're practicing, guys, it can take a very long time, and it's hard to just sit and do hours and hours on one thing. So I tend to find it easier to spread it out over time and to do a little something every single day. So I'm not I'm not boiling my brain in any way trying to memorize all this information, and I just do it really simply in the morning, and I take in a little bit each day. I start to practice, and if that card comes up again, I generally start to say to myself, oh, I know this one, I've had this one recently, and I can remember what the book told me, I can remember what I said about it and how I connected to it and what it made me feel, which then I can put that into an interpretation. So just some tips and advice for you guys. So this one, as I say, is quite a brilliant deck. It's got quite a lot to it, I must say. This is the book, so it doesn't come with a ribbon. I tied that on because it leads to a page that I use quite a bit, and that is the back, so you can see the artist as well as the creator of this. I'll give you an idea of the content. So there are, in this deck, 47 cards in total, so it's quite a large deck, especially for an oracle deck. They tend to be sort of, between 35, I'd say, and 45 cards. So this is 47, so there's quite a lot of cards in this one. So content of this book, she gives you a lot of information on fairies, which I really love. So first chapter is Once Upon a Time, So They Say. Who are the fairies? How to communicate and heal by working with the fairy realm. And then it goes on to talk about who can connect with the fairies, why connect with the fairies, fairy energy and fairy beliefs. And then she talks about how to work with the fairies and when to work with the fairies, fairy symbols, signs the fairies are with you, the realm of the fae. She also talks to you about the dark fae as well, which I really liked. Fairy and human lovers, fairy spreads, questions to ask your fairies, what are reversal cards, 3 layouts for fairy communication, and some closing thoughts. So she gives you a lot of information there, guys, and actually the ribbon that I have in this book connects to where the meditations are, and it's a way for me to connect deeper with the cards and use them on a different level. So you don't have to just use these as an oracle card, you can use them for meditations, personal journeying with your fairies, and actually connecting with the fairy realm. She talks to you a lot about the mythology of fairies in this as well, and how she came about creating this deck, which I really liked. I love her personal stories throughout all of her books and her work. She tends to give you lots of personal experiences, lots of exercises, and lots of examples of how she's connected with the fairies, which actually drove my passion for working with fairies as well. And I've got to say, it's not my number one animal to work with. I'd say I work with dragons more than anything else, but I do love working with fairies, and she really inspired me to do that. This oracle deck combined with her fairy magic book, which I've done on a previous video, guys, fantastic combination, and I would recommend that if you're going to go and buy the fairy magic book, that you consider buying the fairy oracle, which she did as well, because they work wonderfully together. So now I'm going to show you the cards. So this is the back of the cards, so really basic. She has the elven star on there, and I will show you the artwork of the cards now. So each of these cards have a main statement, and then they also have a couple of words or a little affirmation of power that helps you connect to the card and gives you an example of what the cards might mean. The card stock is really nice. They're quite glossy, as you can see. It's quite thick as well, and it gives off this nice sound, so it's good quality. The artwork is really bright, beautiful and bubbly. She used a lot of colours in this. She used an equal amount of male and female fairies as well, which I really appreciated. And each card has either a light or a dark meaning as well, connecting to either a light or a dark fairy. And there's some nature spirits in here as well. She has a couple of cards which connect to the green man and some energy of the earth, Gaia, that kind of a thing. So she mixes a couple of her energies up, which I really liked. So it gives you an opportunity to use these cards in lots of wonderful ways. She didn't just do big fairies, she chose to do a combination of different types of fairies as well. And of course there's a unicorn in that one I just showed you. This one completely different with the horns, so not your traditional type of fairy. We've got Merlin, so an ancient, so as we know, connected to the fairies greatly in English mythology. So I love this deck, guys. It's just so beautiful, so colourful, so interesting. That's one of my favourite cards, that one. I love that one. All the pinks and the silvers. And that one as well, that one's another favourite. I use that for drawing down the moon, to be honest, guys. Coming to the end of the deck now. I love that one, it's got a cute little gnome in it. As I said, there's a couple of deities as well, so there's like some god and goddess energy in this. Little baby fairies. Last two. And there you have it. So that's that deck, guys. So overall, I would probably score that deck really high. I use it quite a lot for personal practice and connecting with my personal fairies. I like to use it in fairy spells, fairy magic, and fairy rituals and meditations. So as it is a personal deck that I use on a regular basis, I would probably easily score this a 10 out of 10. Everything she gives you in the book is wonderful. She gives you lots and lots of information, and she gives you lots of ways to use the deck that are different to a normal oracle deck, which I really appreciated. So I definitely score it a 10 out of 10. So if you guys are interested, that's definitely one I highly recommend. So the next one I'm going to talk to you about, again, Lucy Cavendish, is the Oracle of the Mermaids. And it looks like that. So this is the box for it, and that is the back. So this one is a 45 card deck, and it has a 168 page guidebook. So this is the guidebook. The guidebook's kind of simple and a bit smaller to the other one. Now in this one, she doesn't give you as much as she does in the first one, but she did make an effort to include some things on the mermaids in here, so I'll just let you know what's in it. So you've got an introduction, and then you've got a full description of all of the cards as well, and then she has some notes about the author at the back and some interesting points on the artist as well. So throughout the introduction, because it doesn't tell you in the content, so I'm going to have to go through it and show you. So the healing powers of the merfolk and some mermaid history. Mermaids and sensuality. She talks to you about the symbols of the mermaid. So here she talks to you about combs and the hair and mirrors, cups, shells, the mermaid's tail. She talks to you about the different kinds of mermaids as well and why we must connect with water. So oceans and saltwater people. She talks to you about mermaids and the moon cycles as well, which I found particularly really interesting. And then she talks to you about why are mermaids sometimes mistrusted, how to connect with your personal mermaids, signs the mermaids are with you, and when to work with this deck. And then she does give you some really basic layouts. So the first one she gives you is called the Triple Moon Spread, which is basically just a 3-card spread, but rather than it be a past, present and future, it's more about reflections that are on the left and the right side of you and your centre where you are. So it's a little bit different, that one. She gives you a cycle of the moon spread as well, which is really interesting, and then a true lovers spread. And then finally, just the Mermaid Celtic Cross. So with this one, there's an extra card in it. So normally with the Celtic Cross, you either have a basic layout or you have a really intricate one. With this one, she chose to do an 11-card spread, so it's a little bit different to the average Celtic spread. And then she goes on to talk about cards. Now, for some of my decks, I like to put some charms or crystals or even sometimes a piece of cloth in there that I will use to do a reading on. With this one, I actually made myself a charm collection. So this is just some shells I picked up along my travels on the beach that I felt drawn to, and then I painted some glitter on them just to make them sparkly and special, dedicated them to this deck, and I actually keep them in this deck. So when I'm reading, I like to keep them close. It's a connection to the ocean, the mermaids, and the energies that I work with. So this is the back of the cards. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is it's too obvious to know when obviously the deck is upside down. So if you're like me and you like to have some reversal cards as well, you know that a card's reversed straight away by the back of it, which I don't like. I like it to be a plainer pattern that no matter which way the card is, you can't actually tell if it's the right way or if it's reversed. That's how I prefer mine, but never mind. So these are actually thinner cardstock than the first one I showed you, but they are still quite glossy. They bend a little bit more as well, so they are delicate, so I would say you have to be more careful with these than the first one. But the colour is still really beautiful. As you can see, she's put a lot of work and effort into these. And what I like about this deck as well, guys, is there is a lot of connection to the sea, the ocean. There is a fair amount of connection to mermen as well as mermaids as well. So this isn't just mermaids, and I know that mermaids tend to be feminized quite a lot. It tends to be a very feminine energy to work with, but in this deck she tried to make a conscious effort to mix the light and the shadow aspects and to mix in a good fair amount of male and female cards. And there's a lot of cards in this as well that connect to different ocean creatures as well. So there you can see her connecting to the water itself as if it's alive. There's a couple of modern takes on this as well, like the one I just showed you where she was in the bathtub. And there's a lot of creatures in this. You saw jellyfish in that one. I'm sure there's mermaids in one coming up as well. There's a connection to underwater castles as well and magical locations such as Atlantis. So you do get a wide collection with this deck. There you go, a merman in that one rescuing a woman. There's some divine aspects to this as well. I believe Aphrodite is in here. I just simply love some of the darker aspects of this deck. The way it is coloured so that it's bright but also shadowed. Coming close to the end now, guys. I like that one because it's a modern take with her wearing a modern t-shirt. I love that one. That one is my favourite. Look at that, guys. It's like Death himself has come to town. there you have it. So that is the full deck, guys, all finished with. So I hope you enjoyed having a good look at them. That one in particular, I would say I would score not as high as the first one, mainly because she doesn't give us nearly as much information as she does on her fairy deck, but she gives you enough to start connecting with the mermaids and gaining some interest and a connection to them, so you can then go off and research a bit more. Now, in my previous video, I talked about books on fairy magic, but she actually has one on mermaid magic as well. If I haven't yet done that, I will do a video on books on mermaid magic if you're interested, guys, so leave me a comment below if you are. So as I say, this one I'd probably score maybe about an 8, maybe about an 8.5 actually, somewhere around there. It was still a really good deck. It's still a deck I use quite a bit and that I really enjoy working with, but I don't feel I'm as connected to the mermaids as I am the fairies. Personal preference, I suppose. So if you work with those decks, guys, give me a comment on how you like to work with them, things that you personally like to do with them. Be interesting to compare notes and see if you do something different to me. And if you enjoyed the video, as always, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. It's the easiest way for YouTube to tell you that my videos are coming out. And if you'd like me to do more videos similar to this, then again, just leave me a comment, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And if you would like to support me on any of my other social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. And all the links will be below in the comments. And if you do choose to support my channel on Patreon, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. As always, be good to each other, and I'll see you all very soon. Blessed be.